The wedding hall glowed like a palace under 1,000 tiny lights. Guests filled every chair, their laughter rising and falling like waves. At the front, beneath a golden arch wrapped in white roses, stood the groom. His name was Daniel. He looked nervous but happy, adjusting his tie for the third time. His bride, Maya, walked down the aisle in a gown that shimmered with every step. Her smile was soft, her eyes filled with hope. She had waited so long for this day. But not everyone in that hall was smiling with joy. Seated in the front row, Daniel's mother, Mrs. Gloria, watched with a face like stone. Her lips were pressed tight. Her hands rested on her lap, fingers clenched. She had made it clear from the beginning, Maya was not good enough, not rich enough, not connected enough. And worst of all, Mrs. Gloria believed Maya could never give her grandchildren. She had told Daniel this many times, but he refused to listen. So today, while the world celebrated, Mrs. Gloria sat with a cold heart and a dangerous plan. And in the shadows, someone small and quiet was watching her every move. The ceremony ended with cheers and applause. Daniel kissed Maya gently and the crowd erupted. Cameras flashed. Music played. Everyone moved toward the reception hall, where tables were dressed in silk and gold. At the head table sat Daniel, Maya, and their closest family. Mrs. Gloria took her seat slowly, her face calm but her thoughts sharp. She greeted guests with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Behind the scenes, servers rushed back and forth with trays of food. The kitchen buzzed with heat and noise. Among them was a young man named Caleb. He moved quickly, balancing plates and bowls with practiced ease. But his hands shook slightly. Earlier that week, someone had paid him well to do something simple. Place one specific bowl in front of the bride. That was all. He didn't ask questions. He needed the money. But now, standing in the bright lights of the hall, guilt twisted in his stomach. What if it wasn't just herbs like they said? What if he had agreed to something terrible? Caleb glanced toward the head table. Maya was laughing at something Daniel said. She looked so kind, so innocent. Months before the wedding, things had not been easy for Maya. She had tried everything to win Mrs. Gloria's approval. She visited often, bringing fruit and homemade meals. She asked about family traditions. She offered to help with planning. But Mrs. Gloria only grew colder. She would accept the food without thanks. She would ignore Maya's questions. And when Maya wasn't around, she would tell Daniel the same thing over and over. That girl will ruin your future. She's barren. I can see it. A mother knows. Daniel would sigh and say, Mama, please, give her time. But time only made things worse. Mrs. Gloria began removing Maya's family from the guest list. She changed the menu without asking. She even told the decorator to use colors Maya didn't like. Maya cried in private. But in front of Daniel, she smiled. She didn't want to be the reason he fought with his mother. She believed love would soften the woman's heart eventually. But someone else was watching all of this. Daniel's little sister, Lila. She was only 12, small and quiet, often overlooked in family gatherings. But Lila had sharp eyes and a good memory. One evening, a week before the wedding, Lila couldn't sleep. She wandered downstairs for water and heard voices outside. Curious, she peeked through the kitchen window. Near the back of the house, by the generator, two figures stood in the dim light. One was her mother. The other was Uncle Benson, Daniel's best man. Lila frowned. What were they doing out there so late? She slipped out the side door and crept closer, hiding behind a concrete pillar. Her heart pounded. She pressed herself flat against the cold wall and listened. Uncle Benson pulled something small from his pocket. A tiny glass vial. He handed it to Mrs. Gloria. Just a few drops, he said quietly. It'll make her faint during the reception. Everyone will think it's a bad omen. The wedding will be called off. Mrs. Gloria took the vial and tucked it into her purse. And you're sure it won't kill her? No, Uncle Benson said. Just enough to collapse. Enough to create doubt. Lila's breath caught. She pulled out her phone and hit record, but the angle was bad. The shadows blocked their faces partially. The next morning, Lila felt sick. She wanted to tell Daniel, but what if he didn't believe her? What if they said she misunderstood? She decided to gather more proof. Over the next few days, she kept her eyes open. She noticed Uncle Benson visiting more often. She saw him whispering to their mother in corners. She watched her mother's purse carefully. Then, 2 days before the wedding, Lila followed Uncle Benson to the catering office. She stood outside the door and listened. Inside, she heard him talking to someone. You'll get the rest of the money after it's done, Uncle Benson said. A younger voice replied nervously. You said it was just herbs. For good luck. It is, Uncle Benson lied smoothly. Just make sure the bowl with the small scratch goes in front of the bride. That's all. Lila's stomach turned. She wrote everything down in a small notebook she carried. 3 names now sat on the page: Mrs. Gloria, Uncle Benson, and someone in the kitchen. She didn't know what to do yet. But she knew one thing: she had to protect Maya. Meanwhile, Maya had her own quiet suspicions. She wasn't blind. She saw how Mrs. Gloria looked at her. She felt the tension at every family dinner. And lately she had noticed odd things. Once, she found her water glass moved when she returned from the bathroom. Another time, her plate was replaced without explanation. Small things. Easy to dismiss. But they added up. So Maya did something no one expected. She reached out to an old friend, Nurse Rose, someone she trusted completely. They met at a small roadside stall at dusk. Maya bought them both tea and sat down quietly. "Rose," she said, "I need a favor." Rose listened as Maya explained her fears. She didn't have proof, just a feeling. A strong bad feeling. "I want you to sit near the front during the reception," Maya said. "Just in case something happens. Bring your medical kit." Rose nodded slowly. "You think someone will try to hurt you?" Maya looked down. "I don't know. But I'd rather be safe." Rose squeezed her hand. "I'll be there." That same night, Maya tried to talk to Daniel. They sat together in their small living room, the light soft and warm. "Daniel," she said carefully, "I think your mother doesn't want this wedding to happen." Daniel sighed. "Maya, she's just protective. She'll come around." "But what if?" He pulled her close. "You're overthinking. It's just wedding nerves." Just then his phone buzzed. A message from Uncle Benson: "Final rehearsal tomorrow. Don't be late." Daniel smiled and showed her the screen. "See? Everything's fine." But Lila, sitting on the stairs, saw the message too. She memorized the time and place. Tomorrow she would follow them. The next afternoon, Lila watched from a distance as Uncle Benson and Mrs. Gloria met again. This time they were reviewing the seating chart. Uncle Benson circled Maya's seat with a pen. "This is where it happens," he said. Mrs. Gloria nodded. "And after she faints, we tell everyone the marriage is cursed. Daniel will have no choice but to call it off." Lila's jaw tightened. She pulled out her notebook and added one more line: "They want to blame fate." On the morning of the wedding, Lila woke up early. Her plan was simple but risky. She would mark one of the bowls. Then, when the moment came, she would swap them. She crept into the catering corridor before the guests arrived. Servers were busy setting up trays. Lila pretended to be lost, wandering near the prep table. When no one was looking, she took a small coin from her pocket and scratched the underside of one bowl, the one meant for Maya. Just a tiny mark. Enough for her to recognize it. She studied the head table layout carefully. She memorized where each person would sit. Then she rehearsed the swap in her mind over and over. But just as she turned to leave, a catering supervisor appeared. The woman's eyes narrowed. "What are you doing back here?" Lila's heart raced. She forced a smile. "Sorry? I got lost looking for the bathroom." The woman didn't look convinced, but she waved her away. "Go. This area is for staff only." Lila walked off slowly, her pulse pounding. She had done what she needed to do. Now she just had to wait. The ceremony began. Soft music filled the hall. Maya walked down the aisle, her face glowing. Guests stood and smiled. Cameras clicked. But Mrs. Gloria sat stiffly in her seat. Her hands gripped the armrest. Her lips barely moved when people greeted her. Lila stood near the service door watching everything. Her small frame made her easy to miss. But her eyes never left her mother. The vows were exchanged. Daniel slipped the ring onto Maya's finger. The pastor declared them husband and wife. The crowd cheered. But Lila's chest felt tight. The real danger was still ahead. As everyone moved toward the reception, Lila positioned herself near the kitchen entrance. She saw the servers preparing the trays. She saw the bowls being arranged. And then she saw it, the scratched bowl. It was placed carefully on a silver tray, right where it would go in front of Maya. Lila took a deep breath. There was time. The reception hall buzzed with life. Guests filled their plates. Laughter echoed. The DJ played soft music. At the head table, Daniel and Maya sat side by side, holding hands. Mrs. Gloria sat 2 seats away, her face blank. The MC stood and announced, "And now we present the traditional honor sip. The bride will offer the first taste to her new mother-in-law, as a sign of respect and unity." The crowd clapped. A server approached with a tray holding 2 bowls of soup. One for Maya. One for Mrs. Gloria. but Lila was already moving. She stepped forward quickly, offering to help carry the tray. The server, confused but polite, let her take it. In one smooth motion, Lila lifted the tray, tilted it slightly, and switched the bowls. The scratched one, meant for Maya, now sat in front of Mrs. Gloria. No one noticed. It happened in 2 seconds. Lila stepped back into the shadows, her hands trembling. The MC smiled. "Mrs. Gloria, the bride honors you with the first sip." Mrs. Gloria lifted her spoon confidently. She glanced at Maya with cold eyes, then brought the spoon to her lips. She sipped, and then her face changed. At first it was just a flicker. Mrs. Gloria blinked. Her hand went to her throat. She set the spoon down slowly. Then she began to sway. Daniel noticed first. "Mama?" Mrs. Gloria's eyes rolled back. Her body slumped forward, and she collapsed onto the table with a heavy thud. The hall erupted. Guests screamed. Chairs scraped. People rushed forward. "Someone call an ambulance," a man shouted. Maya jumped up, her face pale. She knelt beside Mrs. Gloria without hesitation, gently turning her head to the side. "She's breathing," Maya said quickly. "But barely." Daniel was frozen, his mouth open in shock. Uncle Benson stepped forward, his face full of fake concern. "What happened?" he asked loudly. "What did she eat?" All eyes turned to the bowls on the table. Whispers spread like fire. "Poison. Someone poisoned the soup. Who would do this?" Phones rose into the air. People began recording. The hall, once filled with joy, now pulsed with fear and confusion. And in the shadows, Lila stood perfectly still, watching it all unfold. The MC, sensing the chaos, grabbed the microphone. "Please everyone stay calm." But no one was calm. Guests pushed closer. Security tried to form a barrier around the head table. Then the lights dimmed. A projector hummed to life. A large screen dropped from the ceiling. People gasped. On the screen appeared a video. Clear, steady, unmistakable. It showed Mrs. Gloria standing alone by the catering line earlier that day. She looked around carefully, then pulled a small vial from her purse. She opened a bowl of soup and dusted a fine gray powder into it. She stirred it gently. Then she smiled and walked away. The hall went silent. Every eye was glued to the screen. Uncle Benson's face turned white. He took a step back. Maya stared at the screen, her hand over her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. Daniel stood slowly, his fists clenched. What is this?" The video ended. The screen went black. Someone in the crowd shouted, "Play the rest. There's more, isn't there?" And there was. While everyone stood in shock, Maya continued to help Mrs. Gloria. She didn't step away. She didn't accuse. She just knelt there, checking her breathing, keeping her head tilted. Nurse Rose rushed forward from her seat near the front, just as planned. She carried a small medical kit. "Let me through," Rose said firmly. She checked Mrs. Gloria's pulse. She smelled the soup. She examined her lips and eyes. "It's not lethal," Rose said quietly, "but it's strong. A sedative, maybe." Maya looked up at Daniel. "We need to get her to the clinic. Now." But before anyone could move, Uncle Benson stepped forward. His voice was loud, angry. "This video is fake," he shouted. "Someone edited it to frame her. This is a setup." Guests murmured. Some looked uncertain. Then a small voice spoke from the back. "No, it's not." Everyone turned. Lila stepped into the light, her face calm but her hands shaking. "I recorded it myself," she said. "And I have more." The hall fell silent again. All eyes were on the 12-year-old girl. Lila walked slowly to the front. She pulled out her phone and held it up. "I saw my mother put powder in the soup," she said clearly. "And I saw Uncle Benson give her the vial." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Uncle Benson laughed, but it sounded forced. "You're just a child. You don't understand what you saw." Lila's eyes didn't waver. "I understand enough." She looked at Daniel. "Brother, I switched the bowls. The one she poisoned was meant for Maya. But I gave it to Mama instead." The crowd erupted. Some people clapped. Others gasped in disbelief. Maya stared at Lila, tears streaming down her face. You saved me." Lila nodded. "I couldn't let them hurt you." Daniel's face was a storm of emotions, shock, anger, sorrow. He turned to Uncle Benson. "Is this true?" Daniel's voice was low, dangerous. Uncle Benson opened his mouth, but no words came. His confidence was gone. Then from the floor a weak voice spoke. "It's true." Everyone looked down. Mrs. Gloria's eyes fluttered open. She was awake. Mrs. Gloria's voice was hoarse, broken. She stared up at the ceiling, tears sliding down her cheeks. "It's all true," she whispered. Daniel knelt beside her. "Mama, why? Why would you do this?" She closed her eyes. "Because I thought I was protecting you." The hall was so quiet you could hear breathing. "I thought she wasn't good enough," Mrs. Gloria continued. "I thought she would ruin your life. I thought I knew better." Maya's hand covered her mouth. She was shaking. Mrs. Gloria turned her head slightly to look at her. "I'm sorry," she said, voice cracking. "I'm so sorry." But then another voice cut through the room. "Wait." It was Caleb, the young server. He stepped forward, his face pale and sweating. "I need to say something," he said, his voice trembling. All eyes turned to him. "I was paid to place that bowl in front of the bride," he admitted. "I was told it was just herbs, for good luck. But I knew something was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Daniel stood slowly, his jaw tight. "Who paid you?" Caleb pointed. "Him. Uncle Benson." The crowd turned to Uncle Benson like a wave. He took a step back, his face red. "This is ridiculous," he stammered. "I was trying to help." "Help who?" Daniel's voice was cold. "Help yourself." Lila spoke again. "I have another video." She played it. The screen lit up once more. This time, it showed Uncle Benson and Mrs. Gloria meeting at night, near the generator house. The vial passed from his hand to hers. Their faces were clear. Their words were muffled, but the action was undeniable. "I recorded this a week ago," Lila said. "I didn't know what to do with it. But now you all see." Uncle Benson's face twisted. He lunged toward Lila, but security grabbed him. "Let me go," he shouted. Daniel stepped between them, his voice shaking with fury. "You tried to destroy my wife. On our wedding day." Uncle Benson sneered. "I was doing you a favor. That girl is nothing. I already had a better match lined up for you. A real family. Real money." Daniel's fist clenched. "Get him out of here." Security dragged Uncle Benson toward the exit. He shouted the whole way. "You'll regret this. Check the nurse's bag. She's part of it too." All eyes turned to Nurse Rose. She stood calmly, her face unbothered. "Go ahead," she said. "Check it." Rose opened her bag and emptied it onto the table. Inside was a stethoscope, bandages, gloves, a small flashlight, bottled water, and basic first aid supplies. Nothing suspicious. "The bride asked me to sit near the front," Rose said clearly. She had a feeling something might happen. And she was right. The crowd murmured with respect. Maya's preparation, her quiet caution, had saved her. Uncle Benson's last attempt to sow doubt had failed. Security pulled him out the door. His shouts faded into the night. Daniel turned back to his mother, still on the floor. His face was full of pain. "Mama," he said quietly, "I need to understand. What hurt you so much that you would do this?" Mrs. Gloria covered her face with her hands and began to sob. "I lost a child once," she whispered. "Before you were born. A daughter. She was stillborn." The hall went silent. "Ever since then I've been terrified of losing control. I thought if I controlled everything, your life, your choices, I could keep you safe." Mrs. Gloria's voice shook as she continued. "Uncle Benson found me when I was at my weakest. He told me Maya couldn't give you children. He said she would take everything from you and leave you empty. He made me believe I was saving you." She looked at Maya through her tears. "But I was wrong. I was so wrong." Daniel's hand trembled as he held his mother's. "You almost killed an innocent woman, Mama." "I know," she whispered. "I know." Maya knelt beside her, her face full of tears but not anger. "Why did you believe him?" Maya asked softly. "Why didn't you give me a chance?" Mrs. Gloria shook her head. "Because I was afraid. Afraid of being hurt again. Afraid of losing my son." "But you almost lost him anyway," Maya said. "By trying to control him." Mrs. Gloria nodded, broken. "I see that now." Daniel looked around the hall. Hundreds of faces stared back at him. Family, friends, strangers, all waiting to see what he would do. He stood slowly and turned to face everyone. "This wedding is paused," he said firmly. "We need time. Time to heal. Time to understand what just happened." The guests began to leave quietly, some whispering, others silent. The once joyful hall now felt heavy. Maya helped Mrs. Gloria to her feet. Nurse Rose stayed close, monitoring her condition. "We're taking her to the clinic," Rose said. "She needs to be checked properly." Daniel nodded. He looked at Maya. "I'm sorry. I should have listened to you." Maya squeezed his hand. We'll figure this out. Together. As they prepared to leave, Lila approached. Her small frame seemed even smaller now. Did I do the right thing? She asked quietly. Maya knelt down and pulled her into a tight hug. You saved my life, Lila. You are the bravest person I know. Lila's eyes filled with tears. She had carried this weight alone for so long. Daniel hugged his sister too. Thank you, he whispered. I'm sorry I didn't see it. Lila nodded, wiping her face. Before they left, Maya turned to look at the now empty head table. The bowls still sat there, evidence of a plan that had failed. She took a deep breath and walked out, holding Daniel's hand. Outside, the night air was cool. Stars blinked above. At the clinic, Mrs. Gloria was treated and kept under observation. Nurse Rose confirmed that the substance was a strong sedative, not poison. It had been meant to make Maya faint publicly, creating the illusion of a curse or bad omen. Daniel sat in the waiting room, his head in his hands. Lila sat beside him, quiet. Maya stepped outside to call her own family. They had left the hall confused and heartbroken. She explained everything as calmly as she could. We're okay, she assured them. But we need time. Her father's voice was firm. Do you want to leave him, Maya? No one would blame you. Maya paused. She looked back through the clinic window at Daniel, slumped and broken. No, she said softly. He didn't know. And he chose me when it mattered. Are you sure? Yes, Papa. I'm sure. When she returned inside, Daniel looked up at her. His eyes were red. I wouldn't blame you if you walked away, he said. Maya sat beside him. I'm not walking away. But things have to change. He nodded. They will. I promise. A week later, the family gathered again. This time not for a wedding but for a meeting. They sat in a quiet room, Daniel, Maya, Mrs. Gloria, Lila, and a counselor. Mrs. Gloria had agreed to therapy. She admitted she needed help processing her grief and fear. I let someone else shape my pain into a weapon, she said. And I almost destroyed my son's life because of it. The counselor nodded. Healing takes time. But you've taken the first step by admitting the truth. Mrs. Gloria looked at Maya. I know sorry isn't enough, but I want to try. I want to be better. Maya's voice was steady. I forgive you. But trust has to be rebuilt. And that takes time too. Mrs. Gloria nodded, tears streaming. I understand. Daniel spoke next. Uncle Benson is facing charges. He manipulated you, Mama, but you still made a choice. We all have to own our choices. Mrs. Gloria bowed her head. I know. Lila, sitting quietly in the corner, finally spoke. Mama, I love you. But I won't stay silent if I see something wrong again. Mrs. Gloria smiled through her tears. I'm proud of you, my daughter. You were braver than all of us. Months passed. Life didn't return to normal. It became something new. Daniel and Maya moved into a smaller apartment, away from the big family house. It was quieter there. Simpler. They cooked together, laughed together, healed together. Mrs. Gloria continued her therapy. She visited them once a week, always with flowers, always with humility. She didn't demand. She didn't control. She listened. One evening, Maya invited her to stay for dinner. It was awkward at first, but slowly they began to talk. Not about the past, but about small things. Recipes, weather, dreams. Lila became a frequent visitor too. She and Maya grew close like real sisters. They would sit together, drink tea, and talk about school, life, and hope. I'm glad you married my brother, Lila said one afternoon. Maya smiled. I'm glad I have you. The community eventually learned the full story. Some gossiped, some judged, but many others saw it as a lesson. About control, about pride, about the danger of letting fear guide your heart. Uncle Benson was convicted and served time. He lost his reputation, his influence, and his so-called friends. One day Maya received a letter. It was from Mrs. Gloria. Dear Maya, I know words cannot undo what I did, but I want you to know that you showed me something I had forgotten, grace. You could have destroyed me. You had every right, but instead you chose mercy. Thank you for giving me a second chance. Thank you for loving my son. And thank you for teaching me what true strength looks like. With love and deep regret, Gloria. Maya folded the letter carefully. She placed it in a small box she kept on her shelf, along with other meaningful things. That evening, she visited Mrs. Gloria at the clinic where she now volunteered, helping other women process grief and trauma. Maya brought flowers. Not as a gesture of victory, but as a sign of peace. Mrs. Gloria took them with trembling hands. You didn't have to come. I know, Maya said. But I wanted to. They sat together in the garden, the afternoon sun warm on their faces. "How do you do it?" Mrs. Gloria asked quietly. "How do you forgive someone like me?" Maya thought for a moment. "Because holding on to anger would only hurt me. And because I believe people can change." Mrs. Gloria nodded, tears in her eyes. "I'm trying. Every day I'm trying." A year after the wedding that almost was, Daniel and Maya decided to have a small, private ceremony. Just close family. No grand hall. No crowd. Just love. This time Mrs. Gloria sat in the front row, her face soft, her heart open. She didn't try to control anything. She simply watched her son marry the woman he loved. Lila stood beside Maya as her maid of honor. When the vows were exchanged, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Afterward, they shared a simple meal together. Laughter returned. Not forced but real. Mrs. Gloria raised her glass. "To my son and my daughter-in-law. May your home always be filled with light." Maya smiled. "And to forgiveness. May it always win." They clinked glasses. The sound echoed softly in the small room. Later that night, Daniel and Maya stood on their balcony, looking out at the city lights. "We made it," Daniel said. Maya leaned into him. "We did. Do you ever think about that day?" he asked. "The day everything almost fell apart?" "Every day," Maya admitted. "But not with anger. With gratitude." "Gratitude?" She nodded. "Because it showed me who truly loved me. And who I could trust." Years later, the story of the wedding became something of a legend in their community. Not as a tale of scandal, but as a lesson in courage, forgiveness, and redemption. Lila grew up strong and wise. She became a counselor, helping young people find their voice and speak up when something felt wrong. Mrs. Gloria continued her work, supporting women who struggled with grief and control. She never forgot what she had done, but she chose to use that pain to help others. And Maya? She became a voice for kindness. She spoke at events, shared her story, and reminded people that grace was not weakness, it was power. One evening, as Maya tucked her young daughter into bed, the little girl asked, "Mama, tell me the story again." "About the bowls." Maya smiled. "Again?" "Yes, I love that story." So Maya told it. About the wedding that almost was. About a little girl who saw the truth. About poison that turned into a lesson. About a family that broke and chose to heal. When the story ended, her daughter whispered, "Mama, you're brave." Maya kissed her forehead. "No, my love. I just chose kindness. And kindness is the bravest thing of all." The room was quiet. Outside the world spun on. But inside, peace had found its place. And somewhere, in the hearts of everyone who heard the story, a simple truth took root. Pride builds traps it cannot escape. Kindness carries keys. The end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please share your thoughts in the comments section and tell us where you're watching from. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you'll know when we upload our next story.